welcome to the big debate today. Is Snapchat a marketing winner or loser? We've got Bryan Kramer, Joel Comm and Jack Kosakowski and we're going to talk about Snapchat. Is it a good marketing solution or not? Now, some of you may not know, I did a video on this and I have my opinion. Since then, I've changed it slightly, so we'll talk about that. So let's get started. I'm your host, Mark Fidelman, managing partner of Fanatics Media, and very excited to have our guest today.
Sorry, Mark, can you smile real quick while I take a snap?
It's going to disappear in 24 hours. So even if it's a bad picture, I'm not worried.
It will live forever in my memory, though.
Okay, fair enough. But it will live forever on this blab. Subscribe to Mark and the rest of everybody else on this panel, and give props when they're answering questions you like. And if you don't like them, you can always let them know in the comment section. So our guests need no further introduction, as they're all regulars on social media and they're all using Snapchat, including me. I know because I keep receiving snaps that I miss because they seem to disappear. So before we jump in, as a reminder, this blab will not disappear and will be available on our YouTube channel and on an article, embedded in an article on Forbes.
Why are you so hung up about this whole disappearing thing? I don't get that.
Wait, and why is the moderator choosing sides?
I'm going to choose a side, but I'm going to be very diplomatic because I see some things happening with Snapchat that I like. I don't want to not like Snapchat, guys. I do not want to not like them. Double negative. All right, so let's just get everything on the record right now. I'm going to start with Joel. So for the record, is Snapchat a marketing winner or loser today as it stands now?
I think it's a winner. I think for those, just like at the very beginning of any social platform or any media, those that were forward thinking were willing to take risks and be entrepreneurial by putting a message out there that others have not seen before are the ones that get attention.
Okay, and what about you, Bryan?
I think you're all wrong.
Oh,
And both sides, we're all wrong.
Are you going to say, what is Snapchat? What's your response?
What is Snapchat? Is that the question?
No. The question is, do you think it's a marketing loser or winner?
So, I am actually a little bit serious with what I just said, because I actually am on both sides of the fence. I believe that it will be. I think it's Jerry Maguire. It's the person we almost want it to be. And there are some things that have to change in order for some things that I need to do with it as an agency owner to make it work. However, I believe that it has a lot of stuff there that will make it successful eventually when they get that, when they tweak a few things that really make that come to life. On the flip side, as a personal brand and as a person who likes to try new things and figure out how to make them work in new ways with a new age group, a new demographic, new marketing techniques, I think it's excellent. And I love it too. It just personally, I love it. And let me just add it in before I pass the baton over. The only way I get my daughter to come down for dinner is if I Snapchat her what we're having for dinner. So it has a major use there for me as well.
Okay, Jack, what's your opinion?
So what I want to say first is that I don't hate Snapchat. I actually got rid of my Snapchat a couple of months ago, but I want to like Snapchat. I'm a social guy, man. Come on, I'm driving a social selling revolution here, and I want any channel I can get to plead my case and make it stronger, right? But unfortunately for B2B marketing, I think it's a loser. Now for B2C marketing, that might be different. For personal branding, it's amazing. And for millennials, if you're trying to reach a millennial audience from B2C, it's amazing. But from B2B, to me, there's no value. And I'll get into why, and I brought a lot of data with me, so I don't want this to be an opinion-based thing. I want it to be facts, because we have marketers here that, their day's driven by where they spend their limited time and resources. So we have to give them good information, not opinion.
I don't disagree with Jack on that. As far as B2B, I mean, B2B has been something that all social has struggled with, right? This is not just Snapchat. This is Twitter. This is Facebook. This is live video. But the B2C, I mean, when we look at this, when I see this, I see monies. I see brands ponying up serious cash to be able to put their stories, and these are just the ones that are there under the Discover tab. There's so many more brands that are doing some really creative stuff, especially in the B2C space.
Okay, so
and may I add, it's not B2B, it's H to H.
Well, unfortunately, 98% of companies don't run their marketing like that yet. So, but I do agree with you.
Don't or shouldn't.
No, they should.
They don't.
They should, but they don't.
Yeah.
So I think today, as it stands, Snapchat is a marketing loser. Every tab that Joel just showed you, I've contacted each of them or tried to. No one will go on record saying they've had a positive ROI marketing experience, even though they've got superpowers the rest of us don't on Snapchat. So for me, I'm going to be the lone absolute naysayer, B2C, B2B on this. Jack is a naysayer on B2B. Brian's in the middle, and Joel and I are on opposite ends of this thing. Now, I do want to say I don't hate Snapchat either. I want to like it. I mean, the more tools we have as marketers, the better we are in serving our clients in ourselves. But we have to be real with people. We have to be real with marketers that are out there spending big bucks. Our clients spend big bucks. Brian, I know your clients spend big bucks. I can't, in all honesty, recommend this solution on some of the campaigns. In fact, all of the campaigns we're doing, because when we've tried it, it just does not perform like the other social channels or even email for that matter.
Clearly, it's experimental at this phase. I mean, as an entrepreneur and as a pioneer, I take risks, and that means that I'm willing to put my foot in the water and test it to see, okay, I think there's something here, and I'm willing to play with it for a while before I'm expecting an ROI. I want to be involved in a social space where I'm able, either as myself or as a brand, tell a story that fascinates those that are watching. And if I can do that, I trust the process that fascinating stories engage with people and bring long-term results.
Okay.
See,
nothing has ever been one channel, though. You got to think about this. This isn't just about Snapchat. This is about cross-channel promotion. And so when you're looking at big brands, and I'll throw out IBM or Cisco or any of those companies that we work with, they do this. The thing is that they do it cross-channel wise. So they'll take a Snapchat, they'll share it on Twitter. And vice versa, they'll do something on Twitter to drive something into Snapchat. So brands are out there doing cross-channel stuff. I think if you look at this as just a sole channel that you're going to be operating on, then yeah, it's not it's probably not there for a brand to invest in fully B2B side or H to H and actually make it work. But if you're going to look at it as a cross-channel promotion to be able to get different kinds of media going, then it's excellent.
Okay, well, I just think it's scary because Snapchat's been around for a long time, right? I mean, Snapchat's not like Blab. It's not like, Meerkat, Periscope. Snapchat's been around for how long? How many years? And if it's just finally catching on now, and Joel, of all people, you jump on anything as soon as any shiny tool. I would have guessed you would have been with Snapchat for a long time right now. That's the thing that scares me because look at Meerkat, right? Everybody wanted, was on the Meerkat train. They're gone. I mean, look at all these social tools. Companies and B2B brands, especially, even B2C, they have to spend their time where there's a long-term audience and there's ROI, right? Like, they can't just jump on things and then leave. I mean,
but Jack, here's the thing about Snapchat. This is 2.0 because Snapchat, as it was you send a message privately to somebody and it disappears, and it was kids and dick pics, right? And when they added stories to it, it was like they reinvented what Snapchat was so that it would appeal to the rest of us. Right. So it's not, even though it's been around for years, it's a completely different application just in its use. And that's why so many people are jumping on now.
Look at Twitter. Twitter wasn't started until 2006. It wasn't until 2009 that people started pick it up. There was 4 years in between. It's the same distance between when it started and when Snapchat started. Actually, 3 years. Less time for it to be that to happen. Look at Periscope. Periscope was only 2 years old, or less than 2 years old, before it got bought by Twitter. And now look at you can keep going. I mean, Oculus Rift, it never even was born before it got bought by Facebook. Just to compare how things grow over time isn't a determinator anymore on whether something's going to be successful.
And to be clear, Meerkat died because of Periscope and Facebook Live and because of some unwise decisions on behalf of Meerkat. But if Periscope hadn't come along, Meerkat probably would have kept thriving. Okay,
so let's go around the room. We're getting into the debate a little sooner than I thought, but let's all say what we think, why the number one reason why, and I have a reason too, why marketers should use Snapchat. So I'm trying to look at the other side of the fence here. Some of you are already on this side of the fence because I'm going to ask the marketing loser question next, but let's go around the room, start with Joel as to why, the number one reason why marketers should be on Snapchat right now.
Okay, so first of all, I don't should on anybody. I say whatever platform appeals to you, where you're having the most fun and where people are engaging with you. That could be Twitter, could be Facebook, it could be Periscope, it could be YouTube, it could be LinkedIn. But if you connect with the idea of telling stories using the formatting and the tools that Snapchat offers, then that becomes a home for you. Right. For me, it's become a place that I can tell stories. It reminds me of using my dad's old Super 8 movie camera and having this creativity within these limitations that is bringing out things in me that just having a video camera that could go on for hours did not bring out. And that's where it really, so I'm not going to should anybody. You have to decide where you're going to connect. And for many people, I think that will be Snapchat.
Okay, Jack, what do you think?
Millennials. If your audience is millennials and it's a younger generation and you're a newer company, I think Snapchat's a great place to start, right? I mean, you get a lot of engagement, and that's where they're living, right? Millennials live on this thing all day long. So, use it to your advantage if millennials are your target buyer persona.
Bryan?
I think that I think that all of the social media networks have a hard time getting people to figure out how to use them ever since they start. There isn't one network that has been so easy to use the minute you started using it. And it takes a while to get to know how it's going to be used, what it's going to be used for, and then the tool finally figures out who they are, and they grow up or they shut down. We're still in that phase right now where they haven't figured out who they are, and we're trying to figure out how to use it. The UI on Snapchat, if you don't get it, it's clunky, and it's hard to use. Yesterday's update actually, I think, made it a little bit easier, but after they're gonna have to make it just as easy as what we perceive Facebook to be, although I think that's complicated too. But we're gonna have to get to the point where the UI is better, the analytics are better. But when they get those things tight, man, it's gonna be a great tool. And I think that then we're gonna turn around and go, the millennials are gonna go somewhere else. They're gonna get off of Snapchat and they're gonna go find another platform. It's probably gonna be called Batchat. And we're gonna all be on Snapchat, and that'll be our new platform until we move to the millennials platform on Batchat. And we'll just keep going, and it's just going to be cyclical for the next few years or 10 years.
The interface isn't all that intuitive. It's also not that complicated, but you talk about Facebook. We've got the Facebook app, we've got the Pages app, we've got the Mentions app, we've got Messenger, and they've got, then their ads app. It's like, how many apps do we need? At least Snapchat is one app.
Yeah, for now, Joel. For now. Well, I will tell you why I like Snapchat. I think the storytelling is amazing. So, and I think if you want to learn how to tell a story in 10-second increments, Snapchat is the place to experiment. Although I wish that the filters, you didn't have to apply and get approved. I think that's stupid. I also think that they should allow us to do the same things the Discovery tab brands are doing, because that's some amazing stuff. I'd like to interview someone from them and ask them what the costs of doing those things are, though, to do it day after day after day. But
$25 for 3 days.
What's that?
$25 for 3 days for a geography geofence code area. So you get a little small geographical area, and you get it for $25, and you get it for three days.
But you got to go through an approval process, which
it's 24 hours.
They don't want just anything showing up
for an app.
What do you mean not anything? Hey, you could put anything on any social network. Why do they care?
Well, they don't want to have like 50 snaps, 50 overlays on top of the Apple building. That would be a mess. So there's got to be some kind of congruency for them to just like Apple approves their apps before it goes through and comes out on the other end. They've got to have some kind of process. Now, could it be automated and better, kind of like the ads approval on Facebook? Absolutely. Again, these are the things that aren't there yet. So I agree on that, but they can't have 50 overlays over geography. Otherwise that would be terror.
And they have to have standards. I mean, if anybody could just submit any graphic, some of the overlays would look horrible, and some of them might be, offensive or, slanderous to brands. If you're putting some over Apple and it's a big whatever. Anyhow, so I think that I like the approval process right now, and I actually submitted 2 geo filters for an event today, and it was so easy to go in, upload my filter, pick the area, actually click to geofence it. It shows you set the time, and it shows you exactly what it's going to cost you. Click go, and they're in review right now. So
Yeah, well, I've seen the comments that some people feel like it's advertising. To me, it's not advertising. There's no click through. There's nothing that you could do but just look at a logo. You could do that on Snapchat anyway. I could just put a little logo here and just say, look at me. So I don't think it should take. How long did it take to get approved, Joel?
Well, I just submitted them actually this morning, so I'm waiting to get approved. I haven't yet, and totally disagree with it's just a logo. If it was just a logo, why would brands buy billboards that put just their logo and their product up there? Right? Just a logo is important. And if I get a geofilter approved and people take a screenshot of that snap and they're sharing that, then that is more brand awareness for me.
Okay. Well, but you can only see it in that location, right?
Yeah, that's the whole point, is to use it in that location. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. Vincenzo Landino's here in the room, and I know he's worked with some local brands that are putting up, geofilters on their shops. So people are there, they're using it, and now they're going on Snapchat, they're tagging that they're at the shop, and there's this unique geofilter, and all of their friends are seeing that snap.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now let's start with Joel again. Joel, what is Snapchat missing for marketers that they need to come up with?
Well, I think it would be great for us to be able to actually have links that you can click. So I want to be able to tap a screen. Right now, if you're one of the featured sponsors that you're paying big bucks, you can swipe up to read a story. But if you private snap somebody now and you put a link in, it actually opens it up within Snapchat's own browser. So you stay in the app. It doesn't open up an external browser. But I think it would be great to be able to apply an area on a snap that you can tap it and it opens that browser. So now we've got a call to action that actually lets us take that action.
Yeah. Okay, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, same. The thing is, when we're asking for money from clients, we have to be able to get them a return on their money. I mean, that's how agencies work, or they should work, right? Like, my opinion doesn't matter, right? It doesn't to my clients. They give me money, they want results. So I've got to be able to track, right? We run everything through marketing automation, because when a CEO comes to me after he's given me big money, he says, what's happening with this campaign? I've got to show him from a data perspective how many people are looking at it, how many people are clicking through it, how many people are getting nurtured from it. I mean, there's a whole dynamic that has to happen from the social channels we use, and we've got to be able to show that, right? You can't do that with Snapchat right now. And for us, we can't use Snapchat until that happens, right? We have to show the data.
Yeah. Bryan, what do you think?
I agree with everyone.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
I agree and I disagree. So that's the thing. Like, I was sitting with the CMO of Cisco last week. I was with the CMO of SAP the week before. and a couple other C-level people in just the last few weeks. And in each scenario, I've shown them. They've asked for me to show them Snapchat and show them how to use it because they know that it's going to be. And they said this. They know it's going to be a pivotal part of their strategy moving forward. And for them to say that without me prompting them was a huge thing. So I think there's validation right off the bat with all of my clients that it's coming. I think that they're going to have a hard time learning how to use this. Like they were just having me show it to them for the very first time. So.
No, I can't read it. Oh, there it goes.
Sorry, it says Snapchat has over 100 million daily active users. 8,700 photos are shared every second.
Doesn't
and
matter.
Users collectively watch 6 billion videos daily. But Mark, that's not the part that blows my mind. This is the part that blows my mind. 54% of Snapchat users use it daily.
Hey, now, Joel, wait, Joel. Use that same infographic and scroll all the way down where it says 87% of users don't ever buy from Snapchat. Please, you got to show that part. How often do you buy something you saw on Snapchat? 87% of people said never. I mean, come on. That's the data you need to show. That's what buyers want to see. They don't want to see a bunch of fluffy, engagement numbers. I mean, they want to see, am I going to get results? Is somebody going to buy my freaking product? That's why they market.
But it's because they're not trained yet, right? We're training people on this new platform. We're educating them, and here's how to engage with the content and buy.
Well, Joel, they make it so hard. Joel, they just make it so hard to convert, and that's my issue is they are not marketer friendly. Now, a lot of people will argue, marketers will come in and destroy it, which is probably true. But I'd argue that Facebook has done a pretty good job of keeping marketers at bay and making it so that it doesn't ruin the user experience. But I know that's another argument for another day. So my big problem with Snapchat is you can't convert and everything disappears within 24 hours. And that reason, you can't search on it. There's no discovery. There's nothing for a marketer to do but hope that people see their content within 24 hours. And to set up a machine like that, I'm waiting for somebody to tell me what the budget is for those Discovery tab users to say every 24 hours, what does that production cost? And then tell me what they're getting out of it. And I'm almost
why don't you call Snapchat on behalf of one of your clients and find out what it costs?
No, I know what it costs. Now I'm talking about the production value of that. So it's one thing to pay Snapchat, which they are doing. I think it's a couple $100,000 a month. It's another to have a production team create the graphics, create the content, all that. So that is what you got to look at when you're determining ROI. And I just don't think it's there yet. But I'm all for it if they can get us to a point where we as marketers can convert without ruining the user experience. I think that's when I say, okay, Snapchat's the place to be.
Well, here's
marketers anyway.
Well, where I was going.
Fix some of this stuff. I'll be on Snapchat.
I'm sorry. Say that again, Jack.
If they fix some of this stuff and I can track it and my right buyer personas are there and the audience is there, I will 100% use Snapchat. But until they give me what I need to show a return on my customer's investment, I absolutely cannot sell something based on opinion and the future, right? If I would have been out of business if I sold Meerkat, right? When everybody was on it. I have to wait till things are at least giving me the right tools and they're proven. I mean, it's not a bad thing to get on a social platform late. I got on Twitter 2 years ago, and I probably have more engagement, more followers than 95% of the people, right? I didn't get on it 7 years ago when it started, and I'm still getting more value out of it. So it's okay for brands to wait, right? Let these social platforms figure it out. Let them give you what you need to be successful, and then bring your audience that you've already built on all the other channels over to Snapchat, right? The big brands, they've already got all these audiences. As soon as they turn on the Snapchat logo and put it on their site, they're going to have the audience follow them. So just, be careful and don't just jump on things because they're new, but wait and then bring your audience. That's okay.
I don't disagree with you, Jack. When you've got to answer to the client that's giving you a budget that's saying, prove the ROI on this. I don't disagree. This is why we have people that are pioneers. This is why we have brands that are pioneers, because they have a vision for what they think this could be and they're willing to take a risk. But there's a technology curve. It starts very low on your pioneer, moves to early adopter, and then the masses come. And there's nothing wrong with that. I want to point back to this stat, though, here, Mark. This one here is the one that blows me away. And the reason it does is, let's say you've got 1,000 people that you're following. So if 54% of those people are coming on every day, that's 540 of them. According to my numbers and those that I've spoken with, of that 54%, between 40 and 50% of those are watching, engaging with my stories. That to me is mind-blowing, considering on Twitter I've got 350,000 followers and maybe 2% have an impression, which we know means so much, right? The engagement is such a small percentage. To have almost half of the people that you're connected with daily consume your content, there's nothing else that's been like that since I sent my first bulk, emails to my list back in 1995. Mm-hmm. Those kind of open rates.
Well, I think Facebook beats that. But here's my big problem with that. It's great engagement. I agree. Two problems I have primarily is you can't search on any of that stuff. It all disappears. So at least on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, although Twitter's a nightmare to search on things that have, years old. But at least you can find the stuff, right? You can't find anything on Snapchat. My second problem is Snapchat's got a scalability problem. What if I follow 100 or 200 Joel Comms and then a bunch of brands? How am I going to consume all of that content that you're producing, everybody else is producing? These things are, can end up being a couple of minutes long. I have a fundamental problem with that stat in that it's not gonna last, and then it's not gonna be something that's searchable in the future, or isn't searchable now. It might be searchable in the future.
I don't think that you even on Twitter or Facebook that you could pay attention to 200 people. That you would consume 200 stories.
I could scroll through it very fast.
But there's probably a top sliver of people that I actually can, the stories are interesting enough that I go to them almost, all the time, because it's the same content that I'm interested in, so I'll probably, the same thing happens for me in Snapchat. I know who's delivering stories or who's just doing selfies all the time. There's a difference between the two. And that's the same thing on Facebook and Twitter, where, people are just delivering, that exactly what Joel Comm's doing. And it's just, I probably don't watch their stories as much because it's just not, it's not delivering. And so I see it kind of the same way, and you can move people up the chain in Snapchat. There is a way of doing that, so you see what you're interested in more versus other things. It's kind of the same thing. On the searchability side, I agree with you. I think that, that is something where, if you want to look back and you want to see something from before, especially if you're a brand and you just did all this work and you want to make sure that all this production value you just invested is there. But, currently you can download the whole thing and then and go put it up on YouTube or on now the quality is not there on Snapchat, but the save of all of this great media and everything that you just did, it doesn't go away. You can download it and reuse it in other areas.
Can I ask you one question that I don't think is brought up very often in this conversation, but there were some stats, and I wish I had them, about users not wanting brands to get sold or brands on Snapchat, right? Like, I mean, their whole idea of the user engagement is, why are you on Snapchat? What are you trying to achieve, right? Like, millennials, they're not trying to achieve to buy something or educate themselves, right? For the most part. I mean, it's more of a fun, user-friendly engagement type of personal app. So marketers also have to ask themselves, are the people on that platform, do they want our message, right? Like, are we gonna bug them? I mean, do they really want to see what we have to say, right? So that's a big piece of that when your strategy with any social platform. Don't get me wrong, I'm not just saying Snapchat, right? But think about your audience, think about your buyer persona, and think about whether or not you're going to be able to add value on the social channel, because it's okay if you can't, right? Like, use the channels that are working.
It's all about one thing: attention. That's it. All media, all social media, radio, TV, newspapers, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, doesn't matter. It's all about attention. If you have the attention of an audience, you can tell your story to them. And now it's down to you as an individual, as an influencer, as a brand, to tell a story that is so compelling that people will come back to watch it again and again. I mean, think of how the Super Bowl has branded itself, right? So many people go to watch the commercials and could care less who wins the game. They want to see excellent storytelling take place from these brands. They're seeking it out because it's become an event. So if a brand makes their own event, right, we're the ones messaging. We create a story so compelling that others want to retell it. That's the essence of viral.
Well, the difference.
They want to watch that. No, but I want to ask you a question. So you're saying that they want an ad or they want a story around? I'm confused because I don't want to see ads on any channel. I'll tell you the truth. Like, I absolutely cringe when I see ads on, even if they're telling a story. I don't care what your brand's story is, right? Like, I buy Oreos regardless of whether the brand tells an ad story, right? Or I don't buy something. So that's where I'm confused from a B2B marketing perspective. I don't see how anybody on Snapchat would want to see a story from a brand. Maybe their own, the CEO, doing something fun and exciting and seeing his real life. Now that's something, him snapping his day or his meeting or something that's going on in the company that's big. That maybe, but I don't see brands having any effect, or I don't want to see their message.
I'm not talking about commercials. I'm talking about stories.
But let's look at Red Bull. Look at Red Bull. Their entire brand is built on storytelling. Whether it's on Snapchat or it's not about a drink, it's a media company. Exactly. and their whole company has invested more media dollars in what they create to tell stories that are entertaining, and it proves the model.
Yeah, but Brian, they're on YouTube though. That's where they get most of their views, and you can watch it over and over and over again. Those same routines, especially with extreme sports. People want to see that over and over again. They don't want it to disappear in 24 hours. And it's on YouTube, so it's searchable on Google. And YouTube itself is the second largest search engine. So my next question, and I notice Joel's left, is why would you use, as a marketer, Snapchat over a YouTube or an Instagram?
Are we going in order still?
Yeah, let's go in order.
Okay. Again, it's all about which platform you feel the most creative on and where you're getting the greatest engagement. I don't think we pick a platform just because people are there. People are everywhere, right? There's millions and hundreds of millions of people on YouTube, on Facebook, and now more than 100 million here on Snapchat. You've got to decide, how do you feel most comfortable as an individual or brand telling your story? And then, because my belief is that if you're enjoying what you're doing, it's going to be contagious and people are going to enjoy watching you. If you tell me I got to create content on LinkedIn, I'm not going to have a lot of fun with that. And that's going to translate to the people who are following me. They're going to be like, well, that's kind of boring. Put me on Snapchat and I'm like a kid in a candy store. And that's why I think people are watching.
But if I gave you $100,000, Joel, to sell a product, what part of the budget would Snapchat be in advertising that product? You got to return to shareholders. You got to return to yourself. You got to live. So
right. It would be a small part right now. This is, we're like I say, we are in the 1% to 2% who are pioneering this now. And so, yeah, you don't go all in on it. If you're Gary Vee, you do because you're an investor in the company. But for most of us, you dabble. As we're going to have a conversation tonight. You're here in Denver, right?
Yeah.
You're working with the brand, and we're going to have a conversation about apportioning a small percentage of a budget to doing a test, to kick the tires, to say, all right, let's go to the Wild West and pioneer this thing a little bit. And that's it. I wouldn't recommend anybody. I mean, Jack makes some really good points, and I think B2B is going to be the last part to the last group to get involved in doing this. I think B2B is difficult across all social media.
Yeah.
So
go ahead, Jack.
So you said something like, about audience. I look at everything as buyer persona when it comes to marketing, right? Whether that's a personal brand, whether that's a B2C or a B2B brand. So what I look at is, I can get engagement on any channel, right? Like, but I need to achieve something when I'm doing social media. Like I don't have just a ton of time in my day to just, to just be on social. So I've got to have like a goal and a strategy of what I'm trying to achieve. And mine is I want to connect and have, personal conversations with people that are relevant to my buyer persona, right? So marketing, you have to be where your audience is. That's where you have to spend your time, or you're not going to get any value, and now you're just having fun. And I think that's a big piece of this that I hear about all these, consultants and things. Well, you should be on this channel and this channel. Well, that's great, but they never talk about audience. Everything is about audience. If you can have as much engagement as you want, but if none of those people could ever buy your product, what's the use? You're wasting your money. It's a time suck.
Why can they not buy it? Are you saying because Snapchat doesn't make it easy to click and buy right there, or because
75% of Snapchat users are millennials that can't even write a check for gas for most part? Like I can't get them to buy a B2B technology platform, right?
But we have to determine here whether this is, and I think somebody just said this too, is whether it's a long game or a short game. If you're looking for a conversion right now on Snapchat, I don't think that there is a conversion metric. I think we all established that for sure.
What about the next year, Bryan? Over the next year, what would you say?
I would like to see that happen. I would like to see a link. That's one of the things that I hope Snapchat is able to give us, is the ability to click on and smell, and the ability to click on links in our snaps, not just in DM private messages, but in the actual place. Now, what's that going to do to the chaos of snaps? I don't know, but it'll certainly be a step up. Absolutely. However, that said, think about this, Jack. I just pose this to you in your world of just coming where you come from with CRM and content. Content's a long game, or a longer game than just a direct sale or direct ad. So when you think about content, right, and you put a blog up, and hopefully in that blog there's something interesting that you want to maybe click on, maybe not, maybe it takes like the average 7 times to find something that's valuable, and you click over and you convert, you submit your email address. Again, you haven't purchased anything yet, and now at this point you're submitting, to the point where you're getting emails, and those emails are going through a sequence of daily emails over the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You still haven't purchased anything yet, and now at this point you're getting ready to really think about buying something. You convert, but you don't actually convert off the email. You go and purchase it in the store, and you can't actually translate that purchase to the emails, to the content, to the conversion back. I mean, we're not talking about any kind of pipeline anymore. We're talking about storytelling across in a total omni-channel world.
You're talking about branding, right? So you're talking about branding. If branding was the case, right? Because you can't track ROI
I'm not
branding.
talking about branding.
Well, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I'm talking, and maybe I'm talking more B2B marketing than anything, but typically B2B marketing, you can't go buy a lot of things in a store, right? So I mean,
it's a high-end purchase. It's usually an H2H purchase in a high-end place like that, where maybe even the message is taking you through the story, but eventually you can be on the phone with somebody and say, yeah, I'm ready to buy. That's usually how a $500,000 B2B purchase is going to happen. It's not going to happen with a click to an e-commerce site.
Yeah, I mean, for most part, we can track pretty much everything we do. But yeah, you're right. I mean, there are some cases like that, but they just don't give it. It's just not there yet.
Yeah, but here's the other thing. We're looking at primarily millennials now, but obviously, I mean, look at the age group here. The adults are coming, and I don't mean millennials aren't adults. I just mean our generation is moving over. They're following us over here. I've been at it since November, and I'm watching this eruption of people that are my age or within a decade, either way, that are coming to Snapchat. And so I think that we're going to see a shift in those demographics, and those people do buy.
You know what, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, I would love to see it, right? Like, I love innovative social platforms. I mean, I'm a fan of anything social, and I would love to see it. So I hate to be a naysayer. I always hate to be a naysayer on any social platform, right? But I'm also a realist, and I know how much time it takes to actually get results for a social platform, right? Like, social's not, there's no more spray and pray or pay and spray, right? Those days are over. So you've got to really spend time, create really high-end valuable content, understand your audience, get in front of the right people. There's so many moving components, and there's so much time that it takes on social to actually get long-term results and build the relationships with the buyers and get, put them through the buyer's journey. So that's why I just, I hope someday, and I bet I will be able to come on here and be for Snapchat. But, I wish.
I don't know that you will be for B2B. I really don't. I mean, maybe, knowing that is your arena, I'm even going to naysay a little bit there. I see it as a B2C play more than anything. I really do.
But all right. We're talking about the B2B sale. I want to make sure that we're distinguishing between selling and relationship marketing, because there is a difference between the two, and we're talking about selling here, I think. And so, if we're talking about selling, I agree too. If we're talking about relationship marketing, that's different. Like, for instance, if we were to be at an event, in any event at any big company, Snapchat would be, for all of our influencer campaigns, would be a hell of a lot of fun to get everybody to Snapchat their experience while at the event, and then share it back out on Twitter and cross promote and cross channel market. That's not a sale. And so I just want to make sure that we're
well, and you know what, Bryan, you bring up a good point, because one thing I'll defend Snapchat for is I do think it's going to be a great tool for influence marketing. And I think that, B2B brands, that's where the value could be, right? Getting, bringing on somebody to, promote your product in a creative way, a campaign, event, whatever it may be. But yeah, there's the value for B2B. There's the one thing that I agree with. Influencers that have big audience, giving them, something creative to tell a story about, can get you to a lot of people really fast, right? Probably for a low dollar amount. So, let me give you something positive, Bryan, but I agree with you. The relationship marketing influencer piece, I think it could be very impactful if you told the right story, you gave them the right content.
Okay, so this is one of the questions I've been asking all the Snapchat fans, everybody that's pro Snapchat, for marketers. I keep having to add the marketer part. I'm not against Snapchat. I use it. Where are the successful case studies, the high ROI successful case studies? Joel, do you know of any?
I haven't been tracking that. I really haven't, so I can't speak to it either way. I know, Vincenzo Landino's here, and he might have some data on that, but I'm in the I don't know camp.
Okay.
I haven't looked. I just don't know.
Yeah. Jack?
I've been begging for one, and I'll tell you right now that with the way the capabilities are, you can't get one. I don't think anybody could really get one right now, because there's no way to prove the data. It would be more opinion.
Well, you could prove the data by setting up some kind of landing page or conversion or coupon or something, because we've done it and it did not convert well. We use influencers. Bryan, do you have any?
Look over here. I want to point out in the chat room, J Speedy Morris 22 says, I have a retailer who purchases from us B2B, watch my snaps on new products and calls me to get them, places orders then on it. So this guy's watching his snaps and taking his recommendations and placing orders. I don't know what.
Well, let's point out one thing, that he's personal branding. That's what you should be using Snapchat for, right? Connecting with your buyers, giving them value, and then moving them offline. And that there's value in every single social channel for that, as long as your buyer's there. So I agree with that.
If we're going to look at brands, Red Bull is doing again, they're doing a great job. Just to go back to Red Bull, but they're using personal brands to highlight the brand inside of Snapchat. So you never know when you're going to get onto Snapchat and who you're going to be watching, and they pass the Snapchat around from athlete to athlete. So from day to day, you could jump on and you could be watching, someone, someone that's skateboarding versus somebody that's surfing. And they've also included, DJ, I think you say his last name is Khalid. And he's done some stuff as well. And they do see, especially if he gets on or he even does his snaps, there's a major spike in traffic when he says go look at something. People go look at it, and they can see the spike. It's not down to the science that we all wanted as marketers.
Now he's got a huge following. So how does that scale? And this is part of the discussion Mark and I are going to have later offline. Is can somebody with 500 followers make a dent? What about 1,000? What about 5,000? DJ's probably got 100,000 people watching his snaps. I don't know that for sure, but how does it scale? And how do you decide what your investment is?
Who are you asking?
Who are you asking then?
I'm putting it out there in general. This is, we had a great talk last night. Brian Fanzo and Vincenzo had a blab going, and the question is, how do you decide to charge, right? If I've got 1,000 people that are watching my snaps, what's it worth for somebody? What should I be charging somebody that wants me to do a story around and include their product in it with a call to action? Well, I have no idea.
The way that marketers are doing it now is by impressions or views in that situation, because you're not going to get that many conversions unless someone has figured out, which no one's told me, a way of getting high conversions when you compare it to other social networks. I know you could snap a picture or you could capture the image of a coupon that Joel could put on his Snapchat. But that's just it's more friction than other networks where you can click a link and go right to the cart.
Well, and here's the other problem with influencer marketing is, you give it to an influencer with a big audience and they drive traffic to your website, but how many of those people are the target buyer for your product, right? So, traffic and vanity numbers, that's the problem with marketing today, is you've really got to drill down to the detail of what's going to actually move the needle, right? You can't, I think 60% of mobile clicks, I read something, aren't even real. So, really driving into the data that's actually going to, impact your business, you've got to have that information. I know
somebody does. Data is important. That's why we have people
right?
like you that are highly analytical, and that's why we have people like myself that are like, damn the analytics, this is cool, I want to play here. And I think we need a balance. There's got to be a yin and yang to it. If everybody was like, damn the torpedoes, then the world would just blow up. So I'm glad we have stabilizing factors and people with MBAs, like you and Mark, that are looking at the numbers and going, well, I don't know if we should do this. And I'm going, I don't care.
Hey, what? There's room for all of us in this crazy world of marketing and sales.
So, Brian, I just wanted to hear your opinion on that statement. Did you have any? So when you look at brands that come to you, right? If IBM came to you and they said, Brian, we're going to give you a big budget. Let's say it's $500,000, and they say, go spend this. But most of the brands I work with, in fact, all of them, ask me to show them the results. So if you were to say, let's go to Snapchat, how would you have that discussion with IBM about spending even a small portion, as Joel says, 3% of that budget, if you can't show the results of what you've done there?
Well, first of all, my clients are the clients that we've been working with are always want to put a budget towards testing new things, and there's always a percentage of that. So that's where this would go. This would go into the bucket of testing and probably fit into influencer marketing, because that bucket fits the most, like Jack was saying. This fits perfectly into that. And so for us to put this into a program where we're trying to track some kind of measurement or result, I would be screwed. They'd probably never come back to me as an agency again. But if I put this into a bucket of measuring how many people snapped and maybe shared it back out onto Twitter so that we can gather the impressions there and kind of try to cross promote or cross brand and see how many maybe followers we got. There is a lot of analytics views. There's like vanity metrics that we could track that would relate back to what increases did we see, and that would be testing the platforms and seeing how they would work. And I think that would work well for the brands that we work with. Now individually, though, I would say that the executives and the people within the companies would be another thing, because we work on personal branding a lot. And that's a huge piece for us to help people to raise their personal brands. People brands, human to human, if we're all trying to do this thing, we've got to put our personal brands out there. And so this also fits into that category, where when we're trying to help companies to put people out there in front, and then Snapchat, again, it becomes a great application for that. And again, we can measure, have them turn in, unfortunately, manually, until we have a reporting mechanism with Snapchat or some kind of a portal for marketers. Until we have that, we're going to have to gather this manually and try to do it. But it is an excellent resource for that.
Okay.
I mean, really, the only way there's one way you could track that. I mean, looking at who's engaging, and then getting the data from somewhere else, right? I mean, if you snapped and you got the engagement, then you could look and say, oh, hey, I need to connect with so and so on Twitter, right? So you could do the cross-channel social piece that Brian's talking about. And I mean, if you had a targeted attack, but it would, you would really have to make a commitment. I think, that's the problem with all social channels, all brands, and all people. How many people actually make the commitment that the four of us have made to a social channel, right? I see a lot of social consultants where they, before they've even proven one social channel, they are onto the next shiny tool talking about that, right? So I think that, no matter what channel you choose, if it is Snapchat for your personal brand, go all in on Snapchat, right? I went all in on Twitter, and it's paid dividends, right? And then I moved on, LinkedIn, Twitter, and then I went to Instagram. So I'm a guy that goes all in, builds an audience, gets some results, figures out what's working, what's not, and then I move on to the next. And if you're new and you want to start with Snapchat, that's great. Start there, but make a commitment and stay somewhere.
All right. So we got to wrap things up, but I only have one more question for you. If there's anything that you would advise Snapchat to do, we'll start with Joel. What would it be in their next feature set?
Yeah, I want to be able to have a link button that we can put within our snaps. That handles all of the problems that I think any naysayer has, is that we can't click to go to a site. And now that we know that URLs send in private snaps bring up a browser within the environment, why can't we do it within our story snaps? And we will. It's got to be coming.
Okay. What about you, Jack? So the question is, if Snapchat could add any one feature for marketers, what would it be for you? Yeah.
Older users, millennials, I'm a millennial at the very tail end, but to me, I mean, the people I'm doing business with just aren't on the platform yet. And until that happens, even if they get a link, Brian? It won't do any good.
I say get started, right? What was the question?
So the
question, why are you so awesome?
Yeah. We all went around the room. Age to age. So, Brian, the question is, if as a marketer you could add one feature to Snapchat in their next release, what would it be?
I'd have to say naked snaps. No, I would have to say
add that.
Okay. Then that's not.
Keep sending them to me. Would you stop already?
If I had, it would be the ability to link, and you guys may have said this, but the ability to link in your snaps. If I could get a click out of a snap, that'd be it. I'd love it. Reporting would be a quick follow up to that, obviously. But I'll use a Bitly if I have to. However, if I can get some reporting, marketers reporting a portal that actually allowed me to gather everything inside of it. Now, Vincent just popped up and said that there are two tools, Snaplytics and Del Mondo, and I wasn't aware of those two, and I'm not sure what they both do, but I'm interested in checking them out and seeing what kind of metrics I can gather using that without having to use, the good old-fashioned spreadsheet. That would be awesome.
Can we get a bacon button too? Just a little, you push it and bacon shows up on demand.
I would say one thing. I wish they would make content. I wish they would make content a lot easier to pull out of the platform so that you could use the content in your snaps on other channels. I think that's a big, missing piece. So that's when I was using it, I couldn't take my, because there's certain times where you do good content and you want to take that off. I know you can do it. I just know that it doesn't look good.
It's actually really simple now. You can save individual snaps when you pull them up by pushing the down arrow, or you go to my story and click the triple dots, and there's one button. You click, it saves everything from the last 24 hours. And I've been working to find a good application that can let me then edit those on my phone, because you're right that Snapchat MP4 videos do not play well with Premiere or Movie Maker or iMovie, but I found an app called Videorama, It's $1.99 that I imported my Snapchat story and was able to set a beginning and end in it. It exported beautifully. So you can then put that on YouTube or Facebook or wherever you want.
Okay, so for me, just to wrap things up, I too want the call to action button. I don't know if it has to be a button. I know I've seen in the comments people don't want a button, but there's got to be some way as a marketer to convert them without taking away from the user experience. And I thought Facebook's done a good job of that. I think Instagram does a good job of that. So it can be done. Snapchat's got to figure it out. It can't be free forever. They've got to make money, and they're not making enough money to pay for what they're planning. So that would be one. And two would be analytics. We need better analytics, not analytics that disappear in 24 hours with the snap. And it's got to be program level, so I can see, is my investment worth my effort here? That's the big thing that I don't hear any Snapchatter say is, have you added up all the time you're spending and all the daily stories you're putting out there that disappear? Is that really worth the effort? And if so, prove it to me. Show me how that's worth the effort.
So just real quick on the money piece, and I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this, but they make $100,000 for each of those brand channels a day. So if you count up the brand channels and multiply it times $100,000, they were doing pretty well.
So Brian,
how much does it cost them to run that? That's the question.
Mashable spends $100,000 a day, or all together?
The brands are paying $100,000 a day for their story to remain intact.
So how Mashable? I have a little understanding of their financial model. I just can't see how they could afford that.
That's what I'll find the link.
Okay. All right.
Are they limiting the number of people that show up in those featured, or can, additional brands hop on there?
Good question. I think I'm pretty sure that it's limited.
Orlick says it's limited. I don't know if he knows that. There's space for 10, but all you got to do is scroll to make more space. So.
Well, Vincent said we spend less time on Snapchat than others and get more return. I would love to see that on paper. Like, you guys, if you're doing Snapchat stuff and it's working and you're tracking the data, put it on paper. Like, people need to see this stuff.
Yeah, I don't see anything like that. Any ROI studies, and I'm not talking about ROI directly to revenue. It's just time. Is it worth your time? And I know you're going to say yes, but really document it and show people it's worth our time. We're getting something out of it, even if it's just personal branding, which I think we all agree is worthwhile on Snapchat. I think we all think it's a great place for personal branding.
Well, yeah. So celebrities in Hollywood are charging $100,000 a week to snap for a brand on average. So on the personal branding side, they're making money. Obviously, that's celebrities on the celebrity side. But I'll have to find that stat.
Yeah, I mean, the
ad campaigns now start at $100,000 down.
Don't pay influencers $100,000 a week.
So a little bit of irony. My doorbell rang. Just irony for you. My doorbell rang because through Snapchat, I realized people were looking for a Bluetooth remote that they could use to snap hands-free, and I found some. I ordered some from China in yellow, and on Snapchat, I sent people and sold about 35 of them so far. And the envelopes for me.
Look, there's ROI.
What's that?
Joel's proving the model. You're proving the model of ROI, right?
Yeah,
there.
no, I mean, I made, and so the envelopes to ship these just arrived. So it's just kind of funny that just happened while we're talking it. That's all I have to say about that.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to wrap things up. We're at the end of the hour. I want to thank Bryan, Jack, and Joel. And just as a reminder, this will be on our YouTube channel and embedded on Forbes. Hopefully I got to get it done the next couple of weeks, but I thought it was very civil, a lot more civil than I thought it was going to be. And I look forward to having another blab with you gentlemen when Snapchat just gets a little bit more marketer friendly for me. Sound good?
Amen. Amen.
Thanks for having us, Mark.
Guys, thanks for having us.
You.